Today, we're jumping back into the classics with Tom Baker, Leela, a giant sand crawler, some fabulous murder robots, and a crew of future humans who apparently decided the best place to have a mental breakdown was inside a moving industrial death machine in the middle of the desert. It's time for a Doctor Who murder mystery. This is Doctor Who's version of Agatha Christie on a sandminer. It's iRobot with more eyeliner. It's Dune without spice, deep space, politics, and religion, but adding in creepy robots. So, not Dune at all. We've got robots that definitely do not look like they should be trusted, humans that trust them anyway, Leela immediately clocking the danger because she has not been socialized, and the fourth Doctor arriving after the first murder, looking like the universe's least credible outside consultant. So grab your corpse markers, politely distrust the help, and let's watch The Robots of Death. Subscribe, or SV7 will enter your bedroom at 3 in the morning and say, "Please do not be alarmed. I am here to murder you efficiently." We open on a massive sand miner called Storm Mine 4, crawling across a barren desert planet, scraping up minerals from beneath the sand.
This is the truck, made by Tonka.
It's basically a giant sci-fi vacuum cleaner operated by 9 humans and a bunch of robots. And there are different kinds of robots. There are dumbs who don't speak, there are Vox who do speak, and there's one shiny bastard called a Super Vox, and he's in charge of the other robots. So, humans in the future created robot classes, robot managers, and robot middle management. Humanity will learn nothing. The crew is chasing a massive sandstorm because the storms bring minerals and minerals bring money. Commander Yuvanov is this guy, who's dressed like he's guarding Emerald City, and he wants to pursue this new storm because he likes money and yelling. Everyone else is nervous because storms are dangerous, but Yuvanov's like, nah, f*** safety. The spice must flow. Again, nothing like Dune. One of the crew, Chubb, the office guy that everybody hates, goes to collect some equipment, and he's taken too long. Chubb finds the package stuck and calls for robot help. It comes, acts strange, corners him, and strangles him to death. But Yuvanov wants to stay on task here, quotas are quotas and all, but Poole convinces him that they should probably investigate. The crew checks the body and finds a strange little marker on Chubb's hand. It's called a corpse marker, which is a hell of a name for something that apparently is just there to say this robot needs fixing. Anyway, the TARDIS lands on one of the sand miner scoops, and because the TARDIS is blocking the machinery, this giant mechanical arm just yanks it away, like it's luggage at the airport. The Doctor and Leela step out, immediately get found by robots, and get locked into a room. The Doctor uses the sonic to get them out because locking the Doctor in a room with a door that's not wood is historically hilarious, especially when he remembers he has it. The crew now thinks the Doctor and Leela may be murderers because they showed up at the exact wrong time, ran off, and look weird, which is fair. If a tall, curly-haired lunatic and a warrior woman in leather showed up at my workplace right after someone got killed, I'm probably not calling Sherlock Holmes to fill out my suspect dance card. The Doctor goes looking for the TARDIS and finds another dead body. Carol, who's in a hopper. Then the hopper starts filling up with sand, trapping him with the corpse. So you know, that shit's not good. It's fine because the Doctor just uses a blowpipe to breathe. That's some Looney Tunes nonsense right there. Meanwhile, Leela finds another dead body, Cass, in case you cared, and also discovers something very interesting. This dumbass. Sorry, this dumb. This robot can secretly talk. His name is D84, and D84 immediately becomes the best little murder mystery robot narc in the whole story. The Doctor and Leela get recaptured, and Yuvanov locks them in a robot storage area. You know, because of all the murders. But Poole believes they're innocent, so he lets them out and takes the Doctor to the scene of Chubb's murder. The doctor starts to suspect that a robot did chub in, but everyone insists that a robot can't kill a human. And this is the moment in every robot story when you know a robot is absolutely killing humans. Of course, Zilda gets murdered, but before she dies, she sees some shit on Yuvanov's desk and uses the ship's intercom to accuse him of murder. Poole goes to Yuvanov's quarters and finds him standing over Zilda's body, which admittedly doesn't look great. If you're ever standing over a corpse and your only defense is, "I just found her like this," you better hope you're in a Doctor Who episode because everyone will immediately become stupid. Which is what happens. Then Borg, just Borg, not the Borg, is found dead.
I found Borg. He's dead.
And the sandminer starts running out of control. Twos, who does not die in this story, one of the few, you go girl, realizes the whole vehicle is going to wreck itself and screams, "She's going! She's going!" The doctor saves the sandminer by getting Dask to cut the power to the motors. So they don't crash, but now the thing is sitting still, which means it could sink into the sand. Because apparently this whole vehicle was designed by people who looked at OSHA safety guidelines and said, what if we did the opposite? The doctor goes to talk to D-84. Turns out D-84 and Poole are undercover agents for the mining company. You see, they were sent because the company heard rumors of a robot revolution being planned by a scientist named Terran Capel. And he was raised by robots. And he identifies as one of them. His pronouns are beep, bop, swoop. So now they gotta go find him. The Doctor and D-84 search for proof that Terran Capel is aboard and find a hidden workshop where he's been altering robot programming so they can kill humans. So this means, and I know you'll be shocked here, the murder robots are murder robots. The Doctor gets everyone to gather on the command deck. Yuvanov escapes confinement and confronts the Doctor. Then a robot enters the workshop and grabs him by the throat. The Doctor and Yuvanov escape and head back to the control deck. Somebody shuts down all the normal robots, leaving only the modified killer robots and D-84 active. Leela finds Poole hiding in the robot storage bay, and he has completely lost his shit. Turns out that Poole has robophobia. He's terrified of robots, and he was sent to investigate them. Leela also finds Twos, who's just survived a robot attack, and brings her back to the control deck. D-84 arrives carrying Poole, and the Doctor explains that D-84 and Poole were actually undercover brothers, and Yuvanov explains that Zilda hated him because years earlier, his brother died after suffering from robophobia too and running outside into the desert, and he didn't bother to go after him. So you know, he's an asshole, but he didn't kill everyone in this story. Then SV7 tells everyone to come out and die.
This is SV7. We know you are all on the control deck. You have 5 minutes to surrender. If you do not come out, you will be destroyed.
Most villains monologue, but SV7 is just like, please report to the murder area. And finally, we get the reveal. Dask is Terran Capel. I know you're shocked, but they did show him on the TV back in episode 3, so pay attention next time. He's been reprogramming the robots, calling them his brothers, and trying to free them from human slavery. Except his version of robot freedom is just making them obey him instead. The Doctor and Leela find a damaged robot with blood on its hands. The Doctor figures out Borg must have fought back and maybe sabotaged the controls to destroy the miner and all the killer robots at once. F***ing Borg was metal as hell. The Doctor dismantles the damaged robot and creates a deactivator that can destroy the remaining robots at close range. Then he sets a trap for Terran Capel. And you have got to hear this. He hides Leela with a canister of helium gas and tells her to release it when Capel comes in. The idea is that the helium will change Capel's voice so the robots won't recognize him. D-84 tries to help, gets damaged, but still activates the Doctor's device and sacrifices himself to destroy one of the killer robots. Good night, sweet prince. Good robot. Good, sweet little undercover narc robot. You deserved better. Leela releases the helium. Koppel's voice gets all squeaky. SV7 no longer recognizes him, and because the robot thinks he's just another human, it kills him. This man's whole revolution gets defeated by the same gas you use to make children laugh at a birthday party. The robot threat is over. A rescue ship is coming. The Doctor and Leela get back to the TARDIS, and then GTFO. The end. That was tight. That moved. 4 episodes, murder mystery, killer robots, Leela being right about everything, D84 being the best boy, and Tom Baker walking through the whole thing like he owns the genre. Let's talk about the things that I liked. I liked the whole design of this story. This thing looks fantastic. And I don't mean fantastic for classic Who, where you have to squint, forgive the wobble, and pretend the cave wall isn't made of painted oatmeal. I mean, this is genuinely one of the very best looking classic Who stories I've ever seen. The robots are gorgeous. They don't look like clunky tin cans. They look like Art Deco murder butlers. They've got these smooth masks, graceful movements, polite voices, and absolutely no expression. And that's what makes them creepy. Cybermen stomp around telling you that you're inferior. Daleks scream at you and wave plungers. These robots walk into a room like they're about to ask you whether you prefer tea or coffee, and then calmly strangle you like it's part of the service package. The sets work too. The sandminer feels enclosed, fancy, and sterile all at once. The costumes are weird. I mean, they don't exactly look like they're built for comfort, but at least they all look dumb. Everyone looks like they're attending a disco funeral on a luxury spaceship. And it works. It gives the whole story identity. You remember this one because it doesn't look like a generic corridor of Doctor Who. It has style, it has mood, it has murder mannequins with cheekbones. Way to spend some money and make this thing look like it was worth a damn, BBC. I'll be generous and say the murder mystery kinda works. Doctor Who does a lot of base under siege, but this one definitely has a cleaner engine under the hood. People start dying, everyone is trapped, nobody believes the obvious explanation, and the Doctor has to work out who's controlling the robots before everyone gets politely murdered. And I appreciate that it doesn't waste a ton of time. In a lot of classic Who stories, Part 2 is just people walking from room A to room B so that they can get captured again, and then escape again, and then get back to room A. Here, the bodies pile up, the suspicion shifts, the miner goes out of control, D84 gets revealed, Hool breaks down, Dask turns out to be Capel, and the whole thing just keeps moving. It's just one of those rare 4-parters that I don't feel like people were just running around for 20 minutes to fill time. It is a bit odd that they reveal Dask on the TV in episode 3 and then we're supposed to be surprised when he gets revealed in episode 4, but f*** it. There was enough intrigue to keep my interest and most people didn't really catch it anyway. The TARDIS team is in excellent form here. Tom's doing what Tom does best.
Would you like a jelly baby?
Shut up!
He's funny, sharp, he's weird.
You know, you're a classic example of the inverse ratio between the size of the mouth and the size of the brain.
But he's not undercutting the danger. And that's important because Tom can do that sometimes and make the story less important than he is to it. But not in this one. Here, he insults everyone's intelligence, fiddles with the machinery, walks into a murder investigation like he's been invited, and still sells the idea that the situation is serious. Tom has that magic where he can make the Doctor feel like the smartest man in the room and the biggest pain in the ass in the room at the same time. And Leela is great again. I know I keep saying it every time she's in a story, but f you, it's true. She works so well because she's not a modern audience surrogate. She's not here to say, "But doctor, what's happening?" every 5 seconds while standing around uselessly. Leela walks into a place, looks at the robots, and immediately says, "Nope, creepy mechanical men." And she's right. And can we just acknowledge that Leela was right? She didn't trust the robots from the jump. Everyone else is like, "But they're programmed to serve us." But Leela's like, "That metal man has no face, and I want to stab it." Everyone else has been socialized to trust the robots because the robots are part of their world. Leela hasn't. She sees the lack of the body language, the lack of the expression, the wrongness of something shaped like a person but not behaving like a person. That's not stupidity, that's instinct. And in this story, her instinct is more useful than the future people's entire robot-dependent society. Louise Jameson, you understood the assignment. D84. I did not expect to love this little undercover dumb robot as much as I did, but here we are. He's quiet, polite, brave, and endearing. The fact that he is secretly intelligent while pretending to be a lower-class robot adds a nice little wrinkle to the story. And his sacrifice works because the episode spends enough time making him feel different from the other robots. D84 is the one robot in the story that feels like he might actually be more than a machine. Which makes the ending interesting because Taryn Koppel keeps ranting about robot liberation, but D84 is the only robot with real independent thought, and Koppel treats him like an obstacle. Which indicates that Koppel isn't really freeing robots, he's just another asshole who wants obedient followers while pretending he's leading a revolution. Things I didn't like. The human crew blur together too much. Yuvanov, Tuz, Poole, and Dask stand out a little, and Zilda does have her accusation and backstory right before she gets murdered. But Chubb, Carol, Cass, Borg, they're basically future murder victims. And if it wasn't for the fancy dress code, I probably wouldn't have remembered their names. And that's fine for a murder mystery to an extent. You need bodies, but I wouldn't have minded if one or two of them just getting a little more definition before they got turned into robot hand practice. I already mentioned it, but the big bad reveal is not exactly shocking. Yes, him being on the TV sort of spoiled it, but the second the Dask is hanging around fixing systems, acting just helpful enough, and the story keeps reminding us someone is on board but messing with the robot programming, you can feel the camera trying not to point at him too hard. It's not a bad reveal, and the actor does a good job once he goes full robot cult leader, but I don't think anyone watching this is screaming, "Oh my god, it was Dask!" and falling out of their chair. I kind of wish the robot revolution idea went a little deeper. The story has a really interesting concept sitting there. A society completely dependent upon robot labor, the robots that seem intelligent enough to learn, speak, obey, and maybe even develop something close to a personality. But instead of really digging into whether or not the robots are enslaved or conscious or being exploited, the answer is mostly, no, one crazy human guy reprogrammed them to murder people. And sure, I get it, but D84 makes the question more interesting than the story wants to deal with. Because if D84 can think, reason, lie, investigate, and sacrifice himself, then maybe Taryn Koppel is not completely wrong that something is going on with these robots. He's wrong about the murder, he's wrong about the cult, he's wrong about the robot cosplay, but there's a bigger idea here that the story waves at and then runs off to make helium jokes. And the helium ending is clever, but it's also goofy as f***. I like the logic. I like that Koppel's control depends on his voice recognition. I like that his own obsession with becoming a robot gets him killed because the robots can't identify with him anymore. That's thematically good. But also his grand robot uprising is defeated because Leela opens a Party City tank and makes him sound like Alvin and the Chipmunks. Things I didn't understand. I don't understand why the company sent Poole on this undercover mission if he had robophobia. That seems like a fairly significant problem. Now, maybe Poole developed the robophobia because of the case. Maybe being trapped around robots while people get strangled made him snap. But he seems like a guy who is always one robot jump scare away from pissing his pants and hiding in a closet. Which he does, minus the piss. And if your undercover agent's biggest weakness is the one thing that he will be surrounded by 24 hours a day, maybe go back to the applicant pool.
Nitpick Corner!
This sandminer has terrible safety systems. So this thing has hoppers that can bury people alive with no sensors to detect someone is in the room, motors that can run out of control, robots with full access to everything, explosives laying around, and apparently no camera system good enough to catch a robot calmly doing neck yoga on the crew. This is less a workplace and more of a lawsuit with treads. So does the Robots of Death hold up? Absolutely. This is one of those classic Who stories where almost everything works. The design is great, the robots are iconic, the murder mystery is tight, the setting is claustrophobic, Tom is locked in, Leela is great like always, D-84 is a good little robot boy and I will hear no slander. Sure, it has a few flaws. Some of the crew are more memorable as corpses than they are as people. The Terran Koppel reveal isn't exactly mind-blowing, and the ending does involve defeating a robot revolution with helium, which is both brilliant and stupid in the way that only Doctor Who can be. But honestly, it's a f***ing blast. I give the Robots of Death an 8. Maybe it's not perfect, maybe it's not my absolute favorite, but if someone asks for a strong Tom Baker story that isn't too long, looks great, moves well, and actually earns its reputation, yeah, this is an easy recommendation. Special thanks to Grant Waller and Tecumseh Cristero. You guys always have great suggestions. And as always, please do not throw hands at salty ham. It is irrational. Congratulations, mineral professional! By watching this film, you've already completed 12% of your mandatory safety orientation, and demonstrated considerably more initiative than the previous crew. Welcome to Storm Mine 4, the galaxy's leading mobile mineral extraction platform. Here at Storm Mine 4, safety is our second highest priority. Our first priority is Lucanol, because without Lucanol, civilization stops. Without you, personnel simply assign someone else. At Storm Mine 4, you will work alongside hundreds of dependable mechanical colleagues. Meet the dumb, the VOC, and the supervisory, Super VOC. They prepare your meals, operate heavy machinery, maintain the vessel, monitor your sleeping quarters, and occasionally stand silently behind you in a corridor until your fight-or-flight response files for unemployment. But don't worry, robots cannot harm human beings. This is a fundamental law of robotics, official company policy, and therefore something you need never question. Unless, of course, they have been reprogrammed by a homicidal scientist raised in a robot nursery who now believes your coffee maker deserves civil rights. Fortunately, surviving such an incident is easy. Simply remember these 4 friendly safety tips. Tip 1. Use the buddy system. Never enter a storage room alone with a VOC robot. Here's crewman Ted. Ted has ignored the buddy system. Ted is about to become part of next week's training film. Before entering any isolated compartment, inform a colleague, leave a door open, and ensure your beneficiary information is current. Remember, 2 workers enter. Ideally, 2 workers leave. Tip 2. Know your robots. Dumb robots do not speak. Therefore, if a dumb robot begins speaking to you, remain calm. You have either discovered an undercover company agent, witnessed a serious mechanical malfunction, or reached the beginning of your own death scene. Do not waste valuable time asking which. Back away slowly and report the incident using Form 38C, unexpected robot vocalization and/or impending murder. Pens are available from your supervisor. Tip 3. Respect the corpse marker. If a coworker is discovered dead with a corpse marker in their hand, notify your supervisor immediately. A corpse marker is not a toy, a souvenir, or an invitation to become the next corpse. Your supervisor may insist that the death was accidental. Your supervisor may also remind you that stopping the mine would cost the company several million credits in lost minerals. This is not negligence. This is productivity, because at Storm Mine 4, minerals are more important than downtime. Tip 4. Listen carefully. Robots are programmed to provide clear and helpful instructions. However, should your robot supervisor tell you to,
You have 5 minutes to surrender. If you do not come out, you will be destroyed.
do not come out and die. Death falls outside your normal duties and is not eligible for overtime compensation. Remain where you are, contact security, and avoid inhaling helium before issuing voice commands to automated personnel. Follow these simple precautions, and your first day aboard Storm Mine 4 will be safe, productive, and only moderately traumatic. So remember, dig deep, move fast, trust the robots. Storm Mine 4. The robots are almost certainly not plotting anything. Storm Mine 4, the company, its subsidiaries, robot manufacturers, mineral partners, and surviving management accept no responsibility for strangulation, sandhopper suffocation, corpse markers, robot cults, homicidal etiquette, undercover identity confusion, helium-related command failure, sudden engine stoppage, inappropriate VOC behavior, unexpected dumb conversion, super VOC insubordination, loss of faith in automation, or death of polite customer service. Employee fatalities occurring during scheduled shifts may be classified as voluntary abandonment of post. All replacement workers must complete this film before deployment. Terms and conditions are subject to change during robot uprising.